Hello. I always open with hello. Hi. That's better. Hi, my name is Michael Palsack, and welcome to I Just Got My Kid to Sleep. I'm Michael Palsack, and I host a podcast where I get my kid to sleep, and then I I do a podcast. And you can see in my eyes, this is authentic. He just fell asleep, and I fell asleep too. Lately, when he's been falling asleep, I don't do the podcast if I fall asleep too. But today, I just felt like was one of the days, I was like I'm gonna do it. I feel like, and it's not because I have a lot of energy. I should talk. Who knows how quiet I should be? I don't. It's not. I've never been this late in a long time. Um, but like it's not that I have a lot of energy. It's not like if I was like a video game character and there was like energy and then a bar, I don't think it would be full. I think it's more of like I am I'm like so tired, not like actually tired, but like I've been through a couple of days where I don't get enough sleep that I don't feel it anymore. Here, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, you know how like you're when you're a you know how like you're a kid. Like when you're a kid, right? And you're always getting sleep because what else is there to do? You're a kid. You like I don't remember. I know some people had like hard high schools and stuff where they had to go to stay up late and whatever, and maybe like they had jobs and stuff that they had to do during the day or during after school or whatever. I only was allowed to work during the summers. Um, but so I was lucky, but like I don't remember like when I got to college and I wouldn't sleep as much sometimes. I was like, what did I do in high school when I was tired? And I was like, I just always there was like one time where I didn't get enough sleep. Like you remember what that was? And then you're like so tired. The one time, like when I was going to college freshman year, I had to pack and I stayed up like pretty much all night. I got 2 hours of sleep, and I went and I like had a drive. Like it was like a couple hour drive from home to the first day of college. It was like orientation, and I remember just being like, wow, 2 hours. Like I felt like I was like altered in an altered mental state. Now I'm looking at my schedule and I'm like, well, I could get 2 hours of sleep before my flight, or I could just do one and then I'll sleep on the plane, and then I'll go do my show, work, and then I'll go to bed. Maybe after I go to the gym, like it's just like that. Like it's been very fun. I feel like if you can do really fun things when you're not getting sleep, then it's like some. I was thinking about this the other day, and this is the thought of a maybe a sleep deprived person, but I was like, I think it's healthier to skip the sleep. Like Sunday was Father's Day, right? And so I got on a plane and I flew. Every Sunday I travel. Every Sunday is Father's Day because that's the day that I'm with my son. I'm required. No, I was like got on a plane and I flew out early. Not as early sometimes. Like I got a couple hours sleep, but like I was on the plane and I was getting there, and then I picked up my son and we celebrated Father's Day, and then I had a baseball game. I took my son to the baseball game, and he watched in the dugout like, and then and there was a babysitter that helped out too. She was great, and to make sure safe, he was safe, and then like we came home, we got shoes. I love getting shoes with a child because anytime I have to buy something with like the thing that he needs, like, and he's so good at knowing, like he's like, Dad, I need new shoes, and I believed him because I felt it a couple, I would say at least a month ago when I was putting his shoes on. I was like, do these hurt? Are these making you worse as a health person, as overall health? You know, like, cause he had a pair of shoes. He had two pairs of shoes. He had light up shoes, and he loved those light up shoes. And the kids at school loved those light up shoes. And I didn't buy the light up shoes. I'm not saying I don't have light up shoe money, but I don't choose to put my money in that world. Okay. I wear clothes that don't light up. I'm not saying it's bad to wear things that light up, but that's just not something I grew up with, and not something I thought my kid would ever get to have. But he has people in his life that do. So he had light up shoes, but they started to give his feet blisters because he grew out of them. I think something about the light upness maybe shrinks them a little bit. That's not true. But so then he had his old like his shoes he started the school year with, and this is really interesting, right? And they were Luka threes, Luka Doncic. There, if you look up the Luka threes, they look really cool. And we went to Dick's Sporting Goods, my favorite sporting, the only one. I remember when there was a Sports Authority and a Dick's, and now it's just Dick's. And I love when I go into Dick's Sporting, because like you go into like a Target or a Sears or another, like there might be something that you really want. But if you go into Dick's and you like sports or apparel at all, there is something that you love. And the only difference is like, what kind of money do you have to spend on it? Like, did you already buy your kid light up clothes? Because then maybe that cuts in on your Dick's Sporting Goods budget. But anyway, we went to Dick's to get school shoes at the beginning of the year, and he just saw these Luka threes because we were used to getting the Nike running shoes. Because I feel like kids, they run all the time, right? They're not like, oh, I'm working on the 5K. They just always run. Like I feel like if you mapped it out, they would run a 5K all day, every day, and that would just be to like avoid bedtime. Like they're always, so it's like running shoes are good. But he liked those basketball shoes, so we got those. But then he needed new shoes, so we went to Dick's, and I forget what I was talking about. I forget. Father's Day. Oh yeah, he said he needed new shoes. I love because he saw those Lukas and he's like, those are mine. I want those. And I tried to get other ones on that I thought would be good for him. They were running shoes. He's like, no, I want these. They're basketball shoes. He doesn't play basketball. He was 5 at the time. You can't play basketball at age 5. You can play a sport with a lower hoop and a ball that people call basketball, but I know it's not the same thing. The kid kind of knows it too. So today was a good day for sports. Jack told me he wanted to play baseball, and he wanted to play baseball in a league where everyone gets to be the Dodgers, which the YMCA is like that out here, because I told him that. It was like a magical world for him. He only wants to play on teams that are local. And I try to tell him, like, well, when you're a kid, they're all local because you're all not professional. So I guess they have travel teams, but you're still from your town. And then he also said he wanted to play basketball when he could. And it's weird because it's like, just tell me 2 months ago. It's all already started. But he's young. We'll figure it out. But anyways, he was like, I want shoes. So we go there and we see these shoes, and they're you know, I pick them up. I don't know if you've been to Dick's recently, but the one I went to, I really like because they go find the shoes for you. I went to one time and you had to, I think it was a Dick. You had to like find the shoes yourself, and I'm just like, well, this is like when you tell someone and then like I feel like when you tell someone what shoes you need and then whether they can find them or not, I feel like they go to a magical world. Like I don't know what's back there. I don't want to know what's back there. I don't want to see what kind of deals they have to pull to bring back these shoes. But like when they're just out there, it's like, well, I want these. Do you see those? Uh no, but also I don't really know how to look for it. So this isn't fun anymore. So anyway, they close at 7 p.m. on Sundays. The Dick's by me. I think probably Dick's all over. Dick's Sporting Goods. They they uh they sell they close at 7. And my baseball game got to around 6:15. We won by the mercy rule. It never happens, but that's just a side note. And I went 2 for 3. Would have been 2 for 2, but it wasn't up to me. Sometimes things aren't up to you as a hitter. So it was just nice to do well on Father's Day. I've had hits on birthdays before because my birthday's in June, but I didn't mean to bring that up just so people start sending me stuff. Please, whatever. But it's my first, I think, Father's Day hits because as a father, you're not really allowed to do stuff for yourself on Father's Day. That's not always true, but usually the day's like planned. But this year, I was like, no one told me anything about Father's Day. So I was like, well, I have a baseball game, and my son has been coming with me to the game. Well, he went the week before, so he's been to 2 now. And I was like, we'll just do that, That's like a celebration. That's a father thing. We'll get food afterwards. We'll father it up. This is father, and it is interesting because my dad, when I first couldn't find a sitter last week for him, he was like, "Well, just bring him," and I was like, "Well, I don't know about that, I don't know if that's gonna work because he's a kid and he runs around, and also everyone else on my team doesn't necessarily hasn't signed on to that, like, but they needed players, and my coach was like, it's fine. So I brought Jack, and he sat in the stands because the dugout was where you couldn't see that well, and then he just got foul balls, and I gave him $1 per foul ball, and then there was like a girl that was getting foul balls, and he got kind of like competitive, and I was like, at one point I was like, okay, I'll give you $1 per foul ball, or if you help someone, because I didn't want him to be like taking this ball away from this other young girl because I wasn't giving her money no matter what. So, and we need someone to get our foul balls. So anyway, but this week he sat in the dugout, and the first inning I usually don't play in the field in the beginning, but we didn't have a lot of guys, so I went to go play in the field, and there's one guy on the bench, and I was like, hey, this is him, this is you. So usually there's more vetting than this, but I can see you, and you know how this goes. But anyway, we had fun, and we won by like over 5 runs. So we went to Dick's, and Jack picked out some shoes. I don't even remember what they were. That's how unimportant they are. But they didn't have his size. And I went to the guy with another pair, and he's like, they don't have those either. He's a very popular shoe size. And it took me about 3 pairs of shoes for him to be like, there's a little iPad over there. There's a little I don't know what you call it, Surface. There's a little tablet over here. You can just type in. He went over and he even typed in the size of my son's shoe. He's like, you can search right here. And I was like, this is nice. Thank you. Because I always feel like I'm imposing. Like there have been times in my life where I haven't had them go get shoes because I was like, I'm even imagining him coming back with 3 pairs right now. Get out of here. That seems insane. So the first couple, the ones he liked, but then on the tablet, it showed all the shoes they had and in his size. And Jack's favorite color is blue. I found a blue pair of like running shoes that I would have thought were perfect at the beginning of the year. And I was like, what do you think of these? And he's like, I want those. And then we tried them on. And like when your kid gets something like health, when you can tell like, oh, his foot can grow now. Because I feel like sometimes we grow into the size of our container, like I feel like he can fit into like 4T stuff, but if I keep putting it on him, then like, is he just going to stay that height, and weight? Cause he's like, this is subconsciously what I can fit into. So I was like, his feet can grow now. He's going to grow. And he just ran, like we wore him out of the store. It was amazing. Like we opened up the box because they were closing. I didn't get to pick out my shoes, by the way. I didn't get shoes. Father's Day, I played in a baseball game and on artificial turf, and I blew out my brother's turf spikes, cleats. Don't tell him, please. They're from college. He played college in them. And I was like, this is perfect. You can't wear metal spikes on turf. I'll wear these. And I rounded third. I made it to third a couple times. And 2 for 3. It could have been, no, we'll forget it. I stole a base. So the cleat like just imploded. It just flew off of it. And so I just wore like my normal running shoes. And I think that's why I didn't get a double one time because I slipped. But it's not like my job, so I'll be okay. But I saw some cleats that would have been cool, but I didn't get to because we got my kids. So then today I was like, let's go back. And if you can get a kid to go to the same store 2 days in a row, how? Explain. You should have a podcast. I know that the vetting is pretty high at the podcast giving out store, but you should, because how did you do that? Because I was like, can we go back? And he's like, no, no. And I don't believe in it. Like if I had a game today and I was like, and I don't play like we don't have games every day, but like if I had one, I could be like, we have to, that's my thing as a parent. If there's like a have to, then I have like something really, I think if I just had conviction at all, then I would get things done more as a parent. But I'm just kind of like, well, he's smiling. So anyway, He wore the shoes out. I didn't get to buy my shoes. They have these really cool Jordans that are baseball shoes. They're cleats. And one of my teammates has the red ones because we're red and blue. And I was like, I'll get the blue ones. That way it looks like I'm not copying, but they look awesome. But I want to see if they fit first. Because have you ever worn Jordans like the old Jordans? Have you? Come on, chime in the comment. Because I've heard, okay, that they're not always super well fitting. You know, this isn't a complaining podcast. I haven't done, but I had some Kyrie's that didn't fit very well. Kyrie Irving's a basketball player. I had some of those that I had to get like a thing, like a, once I put in a thing, you know, like a thing, like a, you know, you put in the take it out, you take out the thing and you put in the thing. Who needs all the words? You know, in kindergarten they learn how to read. I'm like, but you could just learn like things. So it's a thing. It's a shoe thing that you put in there. Insole. That was worth it. And then they fit better. But originally they were hurting my feet. The Kyrie's were. And part of it I think was because, you know, the earth's not flat and maybe they're more accustomed to that situation. That's a joke. That's a bit because Kyrie Irving famously believes that the world is flat. And we were talking. I was talking about that. Like, I love it when you like read it to someone who knows about like something you know about. It doesn't have to be sports. It doesn't have to be. This isn't a sports podcast. But when you do, and you can kind of have that like deep, like whether it's a TV show or maybe like a Kardashian who you know a lot about, or like literature or like kids TV, like whatever it is, you have this like inner and I was talking to another comedian before the show about basketball and about Kyrie Irving, and everyone talks about how he has such good handles. You know what handles are? It's where you can dribble the ball amazingly. You know, like you just it feels like it's on a string. That's what a great handle is. And I was like, well, he believes that the Earth is flat, so he believes it's all possible, and maybe that's why his shoes didn't fit because I didn't believe. But anyway, I'll go back. Maybe I'll go back tomorrow. I was supposed to go to a minor league baseball game tomorrow, and not I didn't get called up. That's not. This didn't. It's not. It's not gonna happen. It's. I've come to terms. So I remember I dated a girl one time, and she was like, "You believe that you still have a chance," and I was like, "That's." She said it in like a fun way, like you still believe because I play like pretty competitive. You know, I never say it's competitive, but Jack's babysitter that came was like, "Oh, do you guys like are pretty competitive?" I was like, "Yeah, it's not like we're all over. It's just like you're playing your hardest. It's not like a rec league necessarily." And I don't believe, but maybe that's why I never made it. You know, because I didn't believe. But like at certain age, you know, the natural was late 30s maybe. I don't know, but it's not. I don't know. Maybe if I really no. The cool thing about baseball is I don't even know that. Like you have to be able to like run really fast and throw the ball really far and fast and hard. But if also you can just get on base every time, like if you can just hit the ball to get on base every time, like you're gonna make some waves. People are gonna notice. People will pay attention. So yeah, I'm on the PCBL Smokies. Our schedules online at pcbl.com. I don't get to play every week because I'm a stand-up comedian also, as well as playing right field at least half the game for the Smokies. I also am a touring comedian, and that's I was about to end this story, not the episode, but I want to make sure I got it all. It's got all the hits. It's fun. It's fun if you can. I love when I take my son to a place and you know he gets to be around people I know, and they get to meet him and talk to him a little bit, and because I feel like that's his like best time is in like just talking to, you know, like caring for him is fantastic, but there's work, you know. But if you're just like chatting with him for under 20 minutes, like you're like if it's longer, it can still be good. It's always gonna be good, but you'll feel like you're giving him something. You know, you feel like it's a gift. Like today, um, he has he's not school's out, but they do a thing at the place where he went to school. They call it camp. It's not like a camp. Like his first day, I was like, Are you gonna pick me up?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're 6, you know." But we didn't go because he had a cough, and that happens. And I don't think you should bring a kid to other kids if he has a cough. Even if it's a little cough, even if it's a little cough, and you go see Lilo and Stitch with him out at the movie theater. I didn't bring him to the school. There were like another family in the movie theater, wide open theater. Lilo and Stitch, by the way, we'll get to it. So he had a little cough, and I just don't, I can tell. Like I've received some criticism about how I don't bring him to school. Like I keep him home. I do bring him to school, but like how the few times he's been sick has been with me, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't make him sick. I just have a high level for health, and I think the teachers appreciate it. No one from school is like, hey, why don't you bring your kid when he's a maybe? Get this kid in here. How am I going to communicate him all the things he has to learn? All I ever need to know, I learned as a kindergartner. One of those things is don't go in when you're kind of sick, because the other parents will appreciate. Other parents who have jobs during the day. I don't have a job during the day. I can stay home with him. I love staying home with him. Um, I can do that, and other parents that like cuts into their overall income. Sure, I could do work during the day. Maybe, yeah, but like that's their like salaried position, and now they have this kid homesick because I wanted to nap for 6 hours. I'm not sick. It's been close. Here's my new technique, new advice. I don't really know. I have a couple of advice things, but I don't want to lose. I'm going to do new things with this podcast where before I jump ship on a thing and then be like, where was I? I'm just going to like really feel. I talked to a friend recently about the podcast, and they're like, it's kind of personal, and they wanted to give me some structure. And I was like, but it's called, in my head, I was like, it's called, I just got my kid to sleep. I've never talked to a parent after they just got their kid to sleep. And I was like, they have it all together. Like they got it going. They're forming thought. Like, sure, it's not always listenable, important wise, but it's accurate to my overall. This is art. Okay. If it's not educational entertainment, it's art. This is how it sounds to get your kid to sleep and then do a podcast. This is who I am. This is just it. This is more is about observing the phenomenon. Anyway, I could probably have more structure. One of the he's younger. One of the guys on my baseball team, like, noticed I had a kid, because he was there, and he talked about. But I told him it was the best, and he was like, I want it someday, and I was like, it could just happen. Like, it's a weird thing to talk about. Be like, well, you know how to do it. Anyway, it's really fun. But I jumped around so much that that it's all gone now. No, it's not all gone. But advice. Thank you. Thanks. I have a producer in my ear, and it's just my brain. So my advice for if you're in a situation like me, and this applies to maybe not all of the listens that had happened and views, but if you have a child and you take them to school and you're like up late doing a podcast if they go to sleep, or you're up late just listening to a podcast, or you're up late cleaning or whatever, and you're tired, and you want to take a nap. What I did at the beginning of the school year was I would just I'm laying here, I'm falling asleep, nothing can stop me. And I wouldn't fall asleep right away because there's something about waking up to dad, it's morning, and then getting him ready for school, and then knowing that, he's not going to be as early as the other kids, and then getting him food. Food is like breakfast for a 5-year-old can take anywhere between 5 minutes. I'm done. Oh, I made eggs and bacon. I'm done now. Okay. Well, we're not going to force feed you. All the way from 5 minutes to 30 to 4. He's just eating every Cheerio. Just some of them aren't meant to be there. Some of them are just meant to be the Cheerios that the other Cheerios stand on the shoulders of to be the nutrition. They're not all meant. You don't have to eat, and now you don't have to drink. He'll drink the milk, and he doesn't spill it on me anymore. But he'll drink the milk of the Cheerios, and then he'll hold the bowl in his hand, and he'll start talking with his hands, and then it flies everywhere. And it's like when he was a younger kid and he'd make a mess, it's well, you don't have the dexterity to not make a mess. But now it's just I'm so talkative in the morning, and I'm just we gotta get to school. They're keeping I'm signing you in. They're gonna see my name. Anyway, So that's a thing. But what was I? Oh yeah. You get your kid ready, you drop like whenever I bring my kid to school and then I drive home, I'll do this tomorrow if we're healthy, if we're free of a cough, which I think could have been infectious to anybody. I don't think any judges are listening. But if we're free of it I'll be in my car and I'll pull into my parking garage and I don't get really good internet in my parking garage. There's no reason to be on my phone after I drop my kid, but I'll sit there and I'll try to pull up stuff. I'm looking for that dopamine hit of like, how can I feel something right now? And then I'll grab his milk that we get to take with us to school and I'll walk it upstairs. He doesn't take it into school, but he can drink it on the way. And then I'll get the newspaper. I get a newspaper, LA Times. Newspaper, by the way, if you have a father, sorry, I just made some people say, oh, and that's not. But I got my dad a subscription to the Chicago Tribune, the newspaper in their town for Father's Day. And because I knew that they used to have one, and then I knew that the place raised the price. The Tribune is the place. I don't know why. Maybe they're like, oh, Jordan's not winning championships. People aren't buying newspapers. Lower demand, lower the supply. I don't know. But they raised the price. And then I did some research. And if you're a new subscriber to a newspaper delivery, they give you a deal. They're like, we got you, because they want to get you hooked on that news, on that, all those stuff. Like all the different, there's just stuff. Like we've all grown up in a world with newspapers, except the new people, and they have to be very new to not be new newspapers. And until I got one for my dad for my birthday. For my birthday, there's a lot of words in those sentences that aren't. So for Father's Day, I got him a newspaper, not just one episode. That would be, they're not episodes, Michael. A whole year. It's a good Father's Day gift idea. So hold on to it. Get out your iPhone or whatever. If you have a Samsung, open the notes section in that. Type in Father's Day gift ideas, because you can search for this next year and type in subscription to the newspaper, but delivered solid paper. It's recyclable. I think it's recycled. It looks recycled. If anything, paper-wise has looked recycled my whole life. It's the newspaper. When I was in second or third grade, we had recycled paper to write on, and we even knew then, like, this is second-rate paper. Remember the paper growing up where when you were learning penmanship, the top was red line and the middle was yellow and the bottom line was green? So like as a kid, you knew like, go, caution, stop. Why doesn't my son's school have that? His letters are just floating and flying, but he's also kind of young. I'm just going to say that for the next 15 years. No, anyway, it's weird for a school that doesn't have grades to be like, he's not up. And I'm like, well, then do grades, Like they would be like, hey, he's not reading like other, and I'm like, well, what are the grades? I don't speak in like, yeah, you got it. He's smart. It's just, he's a boy too. I don't know. There's a lot going on in here that I'm not express. It seems like I express it all, but not today. And as a parent, I want to read with my kid. I want him to learn, but I don't want to like make it uncomfortable or stressful because he's so young, Everything's still fun for him. It's not work. It shouldn't be work. It should be like a fun way. Anyway, he'll be good. Oh yeah. So advice. That's the first Father's Day advice. Get your dad a newspaper. What dad doesn't want to know what's going on? What dad doesn't want to? My dad skips to the sports section. You don't have to be like, oh, I care about politics. My dad, I like reading the comics. That's another good Father's Day gift advice. Buy the thing that you would like to use when you go over to their house. Like, oh, Dad, here's a Nintendo Switch. Oh, thank you. What is this for? My son. No, you can't do that. One Father's Day, we did do that when we were kids. We got my dad the game Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf for the original NES, which I kind of played recently, and but maybe it stands up. I haven't played it like recently. I just kind of turned it on. Um, but we bought it for my dad, and I don't think he ever played it ever. It was just like it was like, oh, this is from all three of your children, and then he probably opened it up and was like, oh, I get that. Like, there's so much joy that children bring. Like, there was an episode of a sitcom one time in the 80s or 90s, and the dad was like he took out all the gifts that the children had given him over the years for Father's Day, and just like started roasting them. And then like the kids went and got him better gifts or whatever. Which I guess if you have a lot of kids, like you're gonna be a dad for like, I don't know, if you have one kid and they're 10% battery, this might be a shorter episode. It's plugged in. The phone's plugged in. I'm getting the light. This is a very special episode where the phone dies. No, we are at 18 and we're more than halfway through, so we should get there by that, right? I'm just gonna do some closing statements just in case we miss it. I love you. Thank you for listening. Um, so that way, when it cuts off, you're like, oh, I can go back. It's like a Tarantino film. It's art. Okay, this is if it's anyway. I kind of like when I did improv in Chicago. That was like a really funny way. I think Jay Suko introduced a Herald show. A lot of deep references. Deep reference. It just was like if you're not laughing, then it's art, and that's a very self-aware. Okay. Okay. So, um, my dad, I got him a newspaper, right? Oh, in the show, the dad made fun of all this stuff. And I guess if you're a parent and you have like 5 kids, and they're all 3 or 4 years apart or whatever, you could have an 18-year-old, and then am I gonna do math right now? Like a 3-year-old, right? So you could be a parent for like 40 years, maybe. Like if you have your first kid when you're 30, and then your last kid when you're 50 because your wife's young, then you're gonna be a parent from like 30 to 68, and then also you're not like 40 years, and then what a life that would be. You're always a parent, but like of kids, five. Um, I have her mom was like one of like 9 or something, or maybe it was even more than that. And it's like the mom is like pregnant all the time. Um, what a life being a parent for 40 years, having kids in the house for 40. See, I feel like if I had heard that earlier, I might be like, that's crazy. But now that I'm at age 6, I'm like, oh, that's 6 it's all fun. But it's like, anyway, um, the dad roasted all the gifts he got. And I was like, I can't imagine. Like, my kid is 6, and he just like, for Father's Day, he got me a thing or whatever. And it was nice and really great. I appreciate it. And he made me something at school, which is really the most beautiful part. I should have brought it on. He said that I was 100 years old because he didn't know how old I was. He just wrote 100. That's a kid who's showing off. He knows what 100 is. Um, he wants to protect my age and anonymity. And he also said I was 11 feet tall because he said his teacher told him that was the tallest I could be. His teacher has met me, and she was like, you could put 11, but that's the highest we're going to go. We believe in imagination, but only up to, the size of 2 of him. That's just how big I am in his eyes. Super. So, like for Father's Day, he did a little like clue thing. Not the board game, but like you put clues on paper with colors, and you could pick the wrong path or the right path. Not morally, just like as a game. And then I found my present and I opened it up, and then he like gathered up all the sheets of paper that he just kind of made on the spot, and he went to go throw them away. And I was like, I want those. And it wasn't even like I was trying to do it for him so he could feel like he had something. He was just like, all right. I was like, no, I want that. I want those. Oh, this gift is fine, but you bought this, but I want these. Anyway, so I can't imagine like roasting things that my kid bought for me. But yeah, get your dad a newspaper subscription for next year. This is for next year, Father's Day. What else? What was I trying to say about my father? Oh, as a dad, if you drop your kid off at school and you're up late and you want to take a nap, what I used to do was just lay there, right? I come home and I'm laying there because my kid's gonna be at school for like 6 hours. So I feel like if you're like, I'll give myself 10 minutes, then you're just gonna lay there for 10 minutes and then be whatever. But but then I was like, I'm just gonna lay here until I fall asleep. But it would take a long time because it's like you're riding. That's what it was, like on the dopamine, like trying to find a thing, because when you're tired, you try to find things I feel like to be happy about if you don't have that thing yet. And then you just lay there. But now I found if I drop my son off at school, I always like try to meditate for like 15 minutes anyways every day. So, which it's not like a big thing. I just sort of lay there and listen to like a noise on my phone or like listen to nothing and just try to like clear my brain. This might be meditative to you, but just like really, and it really calms, 15 minutes of that, and then so I'll just do that right when I get home, and then I'll be like, oh, I could go to sleep now, and then I'll fall asleep right away. So that's just kind of like good sleep hygiene. But um the other advice, travel advice. I used to do songs on this podcast, remember that? And then I listened to one time. I was like, I don't think it's good. But there's no reason to judge. Like it's just me. It's just me. Um, which by the way, I'm gonna start doing my email list again. And I feel like if I promote it enough, then I'll definitely feel like I have to. I didn't even really stop. It's weird as a parent because you're just like, I'm not doing things. I'm just doing this now. It was probably like that with jobs too. Just kind of not like you ever like email or call somebody and they're your friend and they like you for sure, right? It's not you, and then you don't hear back and you're like, well, what's going on? And then you get busy with something. You're like, oh, I think they just got busy. I just think, but I really like, come on, we had a thing. Um. Anyway, my other advice when I fly is I have a big hooded sweatshirt, right? And then I have a blanket that I bought at the store at the airport, like a blue. And then I have this raincoat for my dad, a Nike all condition gear raincoat, which he said that was mine, but I think he was just being nice to let me have it. And this is a perfect combination. I've fallen asleep almost every Father's Day was kind of hard, but I slept a lot at night that time. But it's like I put the blanket over my legs, okay, and then I put the all conditioned raincoat over my body, and then I stuffed together the sweatshirt and I put it next to my head. You got to get a window seat for this. So anyway, I put it next to my head and then I just sit there. And it's not like I'm leaning against it. It's just fully flushed against my face. And then I don't have to move. I'm about to fall asleep right now. And then I don't have to, you probably are too, but for not good reasons. And then I don't have to move. And I can just sit there and close my eyes. And if you're pretty tired, also you have to be like really worn down and be not have a lot of sleep lately. But don't do that on purpose. But then I just fall asleep and I'm just out and nothing goes numb or anything. You ever have that? Do you ever try to fall asleep on the airplane and then things just go numb? Like like I try to sleep like this because I have shoulders, And if you're sitting next to a man with shoulders, I don't want to touch shoulders. I don't want him to think I'm trying to like rub off on his shoulder. But then like I'll wake up and my like arms are like numb and hurting. Not like long term hurt. Just like don't do this again right away hurt. Anyway, so those are the advice. I did see Lilo and Stitch today with my son because Father's Day we went to my thing. And have you seen? I've never seen the cartoon version. I want to watch it now. Not now, but I want to watch it because I want to see what it was like. Because I was, like I was crying, but I was letting it go. It wasn't like I was pushing the tears. Usually when I cry at a movie, it's because there's so much joy because there's such a profound expression of love. Because that's the movie's job, really. Like not every movie, but a lot of movies are about a profound expression of love. And when I see it, I want to tear up. And growing up, I used to try to like not feel it, because I was like, I don't want to cry. But then in a movie theater, I realized you can. That's why I like the lights down at my show too. Not because people are crying, but so they can feel something. That's why if you go somewhere to watch something, if you ever like want to book a comedian at your show, make sure you can bring the lights down and have them lit on stage because you want people to react fully. And because we'll get booked for these private shows, I don't think people really realize that it's all a trick, you know? I mean, we're doing a thing and making laugh, but we have lights on us. There's no lights anywhere else. We're amplified. It's clear. People can see. They're in a pretty good mood. They're not like lounging. Don't put really soft, cushy chairs at a comedy club. What is this? What is this? A coffee house poetry slam where you want people to fall asleep? That's not fair. Poetry slam people have it like harder because at least when people are laughing, I'm like, that's doing it, you know. But when a poem is hitting it, you just gotta listen for stuff or like a oh, you know, like how do you know? Same thing with musicians. Like how do you know? Like how like I get to hear a roar, you know, and that's undeniable, as we like to throw in that word. But it's like a roar. You're like, well, this I don't know about forever, but this worked right now, right here. But like musicians have to be like, oh, this is good. Like I feel like if you're writing a song and doing it a lot, you probably already think it's really great. And so how do you know? You know? Anyway, um, I don't know how I got there. But Lilo and Stitch. Oh yeah, I felt a thing a lot. It was a lot of feelings. And my son, it was his idea. Like I was like, maybe we'll go, and he was like, Stitch is funny, Dad. And I don't know where he'd even seen Stitch, but he's like, Stitch is funny. And every time I would laugh at the movie theater, he would look at me and be like, see, Dad, I told you that it is funny. Or sometimes he'd be like, Dad, I told you that Stitch is funny. And it's really cute and fun to see like a kid for the first time talk kind of like an adult. Like like they made a recommendation of a movie and they felt responsible for it and they were like cashing in on that, you know, like I'd laugh, Stitch did something funny, and he'd be like, see, Dad, I told you. And like not only is he cashing in on it, we're in a movie theater and there's other people there, and there's a 6-year-old being like, Dad, see, I just realized I was talking kind of loud. See, Dad, I told you it was funny, and it was. And not only was that funny, but him saying that was funny. It also might have been the slushy speaking. Like I always kind of forget that for kids, like when we went, I was like, buddy, I don't know if we can do a slushy, but then I also know that I don't know if I can sit next to him at a movie theater now without a slushy, which is a problem. That's a parenting issue. Like we got to be able to not get a thing and still go to a cool thing. I have to go to a movie that I'd be ready to leave early for because he's not having a good time without that slushy. You know, that's just what I haven't found that movie yet. Or the price point. Movies, whew, the seats are bigger, but you're paying for like 6 of them. Anyway, Lilo and Stitch. There was another. I always feel like maybe you have an opinion on this, but I'm sure you do. That like when kids talk in a movie theater at a kids movie, it's more like kind of expected. But he is kind of 6 and should know. But I'd be like, we gotta talk like this. He'd be like, okay, see, Dad, I told you it was funny. See, I love laughing at stuff with him, like not at home, because we have our jokes at home, right? You have your jokes with your kid. You know how to make your kid laugh. I feel like if you are a comedian and you become a parent, like people talk about, oh, your career and stuff, but now you've just made yourself a comedian all day. Like you don't have to entertain your kid, but if you can, they'll list like there's multiple times during the day where he's like basically like entertain me now, Dad, and you're like, all right, let's. This is like my playing catch, you know, which we should probably play catch more. Um. Anyway, he that was so fun. Dad, I told, and then it got scary. You know, I had never seen Lilo and Stitch. I didn't know it could be so scary, and he was okay. And I was just like, don't do this, Disney. Do not, do not, do not do this, because they will. They've done it. They've Game of Thrones you before. Bambi, right? They'll do it. And that's why you know they can. And that's why it always means something. It's like, do not do this. Do not do. I got to go home and get him ready for bed. Do not do this to me. Do not drag my soul through the mud with the emotion of this children's family picture. Do not do this. And I'm not going to tell you because you have to trust when you go to a Disney animated movie that's now more real, but part of it's probably still animated, that the creators had the best ending possible for your overall enjoyment. But don't ever do that. Don't ever. I'm not gonna. You probably know how to. It came out. It's weird how like remember when Titanic came out? You know, it was supposed to be a huge flop or whatever, and then it's like the biggest movie ever at the time. And my dad was like, I don't want to see it. I know how it ends, and that was like his joke or whatever. But it is true. Like everyone kind of knew. But then it was a movie that destroyed. And then Disney was like, I think all our movies are like Titanic, and we can just make them again. Everyone will know how they end, but we'll have it look live action. We'll use effects. And they're right, you know. Have you seen Dumbo? I saw part of it on a plane. I was like, I gotta watch this whole thing now. Anyway, I don't know. Lilo and Stitch. There's a part of the movie in the beginning. I'm not giving anything away, where Lilo's older sister is basically the new mom of Lilo because their parents passed. Which you gotta love a movie would start out with like parents that are gone, dead. You don't get to see the parents dying, but you're like, oh, they're sad. But the kid's happy. You know, they're doing a thing. Whenever there's like a main character who lost someone, but you don't see it, you just kind of know about it later. It's like, oh, that's a like Danny Tanner in Full House. Like, where'd the mom go? Are they separated? Are they co-parenting? Like, do they hate each other? No, she's just dead. Oh, I'll watch 7 seasons of this. You know, not that if you are co-parenting, you can get along very well. It happens, without even any legal agreements, probably. But and the sister's kind of raising the kid, and the kid's kind of young, and it's a lot, and social services comes over, and they're like, you got these bills, this house you got to clean up. You don't know where the kid is. And I'm not saying you got to put food in the fridge. I'm not saying that I looked at my life and I was like, that's the same. But I kind of was like, give her a break. She's a mom, basically. Like, there's food. Oh, I got a low battery over here. There's food. There's food. She gave you a Capri Sun. And there's a bit in the movie where the lady, she's like, do you want tea? And she's like, yeah. So she warms up Capri Sun without telling her. It's like, that was a good kids love Capri Suns. And she gave you like 2 of them as tea. And then she was like, clean it up. She had to do 3 things. She had to clean up her house, including laundry, which was just like, am I going to do I got to do all this now? Because my house, I clean, and the laundry is clean. It just piles up. Basically, it seems like the choice is either have a pile of dirty laundry, more like a mountain, or a pile or a mountain of clean laundry, or I guess put it away. But it's just like, I can't. Or people doing this every day. Anyways, I think tomorrow I'm going to clean my whole house just so I don't feel like Lilo's sister. I bet it's not like that. But I was like, I did feel sympathy for Lilo's sister, being like, I don't think she's doing that bad of a job. Which I don't know if that is the moment. I don't know if that moment in the movie is supposed to inspire parents to be like, she's okay. Like, that's an okay parent. Like, okay, it's hard to be a parent. Like, I'll have a babysitter every once in a while for Jack when I have a show at night, and I always like try to clean up first. But then when they come in, I'm like, hey, I know it's not super like organized, and then they'll be like, I always want them to be like, no, it's really good actually, and then I'm like, but sometimes they'll just be like, yeah, I get it, and I was like, oh, I stayed up till 3 a.m. doing that. Anyway, that was my hot Lilo Stitch bit. Is this when the sister she had to pay her bills, and it's not even that like she was not have the money. She's had the bills out, and she had to like have some food and then do laundry. And then she did it all, and then Stitch came over and just ran amok. And then I'm not going to ruin the movie, but it did seem weird that she was like, oh, I don't know if I can be the mom of my sister now because of Stitch. Like, that's an animal. I'm not an anti-Stitch, but whatever. It was good. It was really, all right. I wrote something down today. My Calm app crashed. That didn't help. That's my meditation app. I tried to like meditate and it just crashed. And I was like, I don't think you're allowed to do that. This is the one thing you have to do as an app is not crash. I can't be like listening to a forest rain and then hear nothing and then see that my phone needs to be shut. Like that's not calm. Anyway, This weekend, I will be in Atlanta, Georgia at the Punchline. And I appreciate everyone that's bought tickets so far. And there are tickets still available Wednesday night. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'll be in Jacksonville, Florida at the Comedy Zone. It's in Ramada Inn, but it's in a comedy club too. It's a pretty cool club. And then the next weekend, I'll be at the Kenosha Comedy Club in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It's my birthday weekend. I'm working on it. I'm not working on my birthday weekend, but I'm working during the time. I still haven't decided whether what I'm gonna do, like the people, because I gotta travel to Chicago. I don't know, but I want to spend my birthday with my son because he loves birthdays and it's fun to see that through his eyes. But I want my parents to, I want to find a way. Here's what I'm trying to do as a fully grown adult. I want to find a way to get 2 birthday parties. That's it. I'll be honest. I want to have a celebration with my son with really good cake that basically I get to buy and pick out, and then do like a super fun thing that he'll love and say happy birthday to me and all this stuff and have that. And then I want to fly to Chicago, not on the day probably, because if I do that with my kid, I can do it on the day, and have them like take me to like a White Sox day game on Sunday and, happy birthday and still be special for them. That's what I want. And it's not for them. I want 2 parties. I want 2 different days. That's all I want. Because have you done this as an adult where like there's people in your life? I remember one time I had to go on the road for my birthday, and my parents were like, "We'll celebrate it before. We'll do it before," and then and then it was just done. And then I got home and it was like my cake was gone. That was when I was living at home because they ate it while I was gone. I was just like, let's just do it after. Let's just put it on. I don't know. It'll be. I'm sure I can pretty much just schedule it. That's the good thing about being an adult. People are like, "What do you want for your birthday?" Well, whatever I can just. I mean, not that I have a lot of money, but I don't want a lot. But all right, those are the places. This past weekend, I was at McKinney, Texas, at the comedy. I did my first arena, the Comedy Arena, and that was such a great club. McKinney is my new favorite city in Texas. And the day before that, I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the Looney Bin, and I had a great time there too. This is my comedian advice. Ba, 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 ba. If you're a comedian listening for stand-up advice and you made it this far, there were a very small crowd for that Thursday show, and sometimes they cancel those. But I flew in and we did the show, and more people came, and it still was a very small crowd. And I was telling the comedian on Friday or Saturday because the late show was a little slow. Not like my shows are slow, but buy tickets, please. No. And he was like, "What do you do when it's smaller? Do you like sit down?" I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Do the show. Unless that's your thing, is like just asking people how they're doing, but do the show because like they came to a show and you have to be up. I have to be up there for like an hour. I don't like hanging out with friends. I can hang out with a friend for an hour, but strangers, it's not gonna be super fun. The other thing is the small crowd could be better than the big. The size of the crowd has nothing to do with how the show is gonna go, other than the volume of laughter. The people, what's inside the crowd, have everything to do with how they've come together as a crowd, but individually as people, they're the show from your enjoyment level. It's not the numbers. The numbers are just like it's gonna sound big, but there are packed shows that sound great, and there are packed shows and then there are like small shows where like what they were on top of every single moment. We were so the best. One of the best parts of the stand-up comedian is when you say a thing and you are hoping that you connect to it this way, and the thing that makes it funny is that they have to make a leap too. And when they leap to that place that you've leapt to and see the humor in your brain, it feels like your brains are like one. We're both in the show now, and that's really fun. And that can happen in small and big crowds. So anyway, we made it. We made it. I just got my kid to sleep. Episode 67. I love you. Thank you for being here. Bye.